Hi guys and welcome. I'm Enigmius and this is episode 15 in the Builder's Guide to Feed the Beast. Today we're talking about Steve's Carts, which is a really neat mod that lets you kind of mess around with different modules and assemble them onto mine carts and then kind of let them go and see what they're going to do. You saw my arrow cart and how it liked to patrol around in circles and shoot at bad guys, but didn't like to cooperate with the other carts on the track. So he's gone. He's in storage. And today I thought it might be fun to kind of take a different direction. Instead of just, going over what's in the arrow cart, I figured let's sort of make a different cart, and that way I can better describe exactly what's going on with Steve's carts, give you an idea of what you can expect when you go to assemble your own. Now, for Steve's carts, the only machine or tool that you really need is a cart assembler, which looks like this when you place it on the ground and looks like this when you click on it. And this is sort of the cart that I've been working on. It looks like some sort of frightening insect of some variety. We'll come back to this and take a look at exactly what's going on momentarily. But all you really need to know is that the UI sometimes gets a little bit screwy. Like you can see it's cropped on the sides. If you change your GUI scaling to large, this will fit all within your screen. If you leave it on auto like I have and yours ends up looking like this too, you're still able to see everything that you need to see. There's nothing being cropped off the screen that's absolutely critical. In fact, the only thing that you can't see is the C in Cart Assembler in the top left corner. So it's not a big deal. It's not expensive to make a cart assembler. Right click in the bar. Cart assembler is smooth stone, 3 iron, and 2 simple PCBs, which are 1 gold, 4 iron, and 4 redstone each. So it's not bad at all. And the interesting thing about the cart assembler is that you don't have to hook it up to a source of EU, and you don't have to hook it up to an engine. You do need to use fuel with it, but I'm pretty sure the main source of fuel is coal. Now I'm going to try with coal coke when we get started with the assembly on this guy, just to see if it'll work. But I did already try with lava, and it wouldn't even accept it in the box. So keep in mind that you're going to need some sort of fuel source for it to make it go. And really, that's it. I mean, there are blocks you can get that are like detectors. It looks like Steve's Carts has its own cargo manager for dealing with item carts, like I was talking about in previous episode. If you wanted to do just like a straight storage and item transportation cart, you can probably get upwards of 100 slots in it. And then you would need a cargo manager instead of an item loader or unloader in order to transfer the inventory, based on what I've read. Just keep that in mind, and actually let's look at it right now so it's a little bit more clear what I'm talking about. It's a cargo manager. These are all Steve's Carts materials that you make it out of. It's not really expensive, but it is a thing. Just keep that in mind. The unfortunate thing is I was looking at the wiki, and the wiki is talking about item blocks, and then when I type them into the search pane, they aren't showing up as being anything. So there's different detectors that you can get. There's a detector track here, advanced detector rail. This is another Steve's Cart thing. But realistically speaking, that's only if you're starting to get into the advanced item movement shipping sort of stuff. And if you're not able to find any more information on it, by all means, just go into it expecting that you're going to have to mess around with a bit and find out what works. So it's not the end of the world. I'm just pointing that out, that I tried finding the information, and it wasn't readily available. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. So the heart and soul of Steve's Carts is the carts themselves. And in order to make a cart, the first thing that you have to do is make a hull for your cart. And the easiest way that I've found, actually currently, based on this version of Feed the Beast and all the mods that are with it, to find all of the hulls and modules that you can put into the hulls, is to enter type in the search bar, and it brings up the list of basically all of it. And I think the reason is because apparently Steve's Carts are the only ones that have type in the description. You can see at the bottom there it says type hull or type add-on, type attachment. So by searching for type, it's pulling up all of the potential modules for Steve's Carts. And what you'll find, first of all, is that there's 4 different hulls. There's the pumpkin chariot, which I think is just for laughs, really. Can hold 1 engine, and approximately jack by way of modular capacity or complexity. The next one up from that is the wooden hull, which can hold a little bit more in terms of modules. Nothing great. Again, low modular complexity cap and only one engine. Then you go up to the standard hull, which can hold considerably more modules, more complex, up to 3 engines and 6 add-ons. And then the one that I've used for my aero cart, and also the one that we've got in the cart assembler now, is the reinforced hull, which has the highest modular capacity, the highest complexity cap, the maximum number of allowed engines, and the maximum allowed add-ons. Go big or go home, right? And it's not cheap to make. I actually enjoy the way this is set up for Steve's carts. Now, you've heard me talk about certain other mods and how they ramp up the material cost and the complexity for simple things. I don't mind it so much with Steve's carts because I'm taking part in this completely voluntarily. If I decide that I don't want to take part in this, I'm not losing anything out of my game. It's not like a macerator needs, where you kind of, if you don't build it the way it needs to be, then you're missing out on doubling your ore volume. That kind of stings a little bit. You feel like you're missing out. Steve's carts, if you take a look at this and you say, I don't want to invest those kinds of materials, you don't. And then you just use normal mine carts and you're fine. It doesn't matter. But for this, because it's voluntary, I actually enjoy the process. But the one thing, yes, expensive. So to give you an idea, in order to make a reinforced hull, you need these materials, obviously, reinforced metal, 5 pieces, and 2 reinforced wheels. The reinforced wheels are a reinforced metal and 4 iron. So to give you an idea further, so that's a total of 7 reinforced metal, 1 for each wheel, and then the 5 here. A reinforced metal is made out of stabilized metal, and stabilized metal, 5 chunks. So you have to make 2 batches of this recipe here that you see. We'll give you 5 stabilized, so you make 2, gives you 10, and you'll have 3 reinforced metal left over. Is basically the way it works. But you'll need 5 iron, 2 hardened mesh, and 2 refined hardener. The hardened mesh is 4 refined hardener and 5 iron bars. And now we have to go back to the top. Stabilized metal. And the refined hardener is made with raw hardener, which is made, you get 2 raw hardener out of 4 obsidian and 1 diamond. So I just made a batch. I think I did like 10 of each of these, so I made 20. And that was barely enough, I think, to make this. I don't remember exactly. All I know is, if you're kind of tight on materials, but you want to make it anyway, start small, make less than you think you're going to need, and then increment up as you need it, as opposed to just making a huge batch and having a ton left aside, because there's not a ton of recipes that use the reinforced metal. So just keep that in mind. So that's your reinforced hull. And then what you do is, let me just take all this stuff out of here. Will it? No, it won't even let me take it out as long as I've got stuff in there. So pull it all out. Show you what this looks like when you first open it and nothing is in it. It's really actually good in the information box here of sort of explaining to you what's going on. Like if something isn't going to work, it'll tell you why. So it says here, to start making a cart, please add a cart hull of your choice to the hull slot. It doesn't get any more simple than that. So we've got our reinforced hull that we made, and we put that in there. And now it's telling you, if you wanted to, you could make a minecart just out of this hull. I'd say that would be the most pointlessly expensive minecart ever, but you could, and you would do that by clicking assemble and adding fuel, and it would just go. And according to this, it would take 5 seconds of real time to assemble the cart. So now we want to think about how are we going to make the cart move. You notice my aero cart was self-propelled. It had a coal engine, and we're going to add one into this guy. So you just put it up into the engine slot. You can actually shift-click these, and they'll go into the appropriate category, but I'm just going to move them over because that's what I like to do. And you'll see it says ready to assemble cart, so obviously that's going to work, and it increased. Now it's going to take 1 minute and 41 seconds to assemble the cart, and this is, again, real-time requirement. But let's say, for example, I want it to be a speed demon, and I want it to load up more coal engines, right? We can go like this. We put one in here, and it'll tell you coal engine is not allowed to be added twice, and the assemble button is grayed out. So it won't allow you to assemble with 2 coal engines. So we have to take that out. I'm gonna be sad. No speed demon shenanigans for us. But then we can kind of take a look at some of the other things. You're allowed 1 tool slot. And actually, let's go back to the view here just so you can see. There's a total of 4 different drill bits. There's the iron drill, which is, I think it's the least expensive. Yeah, it's the least expensive of the drills. It's 6 iron ingots. And then you can move up to the basic drill, which is 3 iron ingots and 3 diamonds. And you can move up to the hardened drill, which is the basic drill, 3 reinforced metal, 2 hardened mesh. We saw that in the recipe for the reinforced cart. And a block of diamond. And then if you're feeling extremely extravagant, you can go for the Galgadorian drill. I'm just going to go through this quickly. You can trace through the recipe on your own in detail if you want. It's the hardened drill, which we already made with 3 diamonds, the diamond block, and all the diamonds that went into the reinforced metal, plus a diamond block, plus Galgadorian metal, and 3 enhanced Galgadorian metals. Now, enhanced Galgadorian metal is made out of a large lump of Galgador, which is made up of 9 lumps of Galgador. It makes a large lump of Galgador. So let's back it up. I just want to kind of give you an overview of the scale. So each one of these takes 9 lumps of Galgador by the time you upgrade it to the different stages to make the enhanced Galgadorian metal. And then the plain Galgadorian metal on its own is 1 lump of Galgador, which is a diamond block, 3 eyes of Galgador, 2 stabilized metal. This is the ones that we made with the diamonds in the obsidian for the reinforced hull, and some glowstone makes 2 lumps of Galgador. So all told throughout this recipe, you need about 30 lumps of Galgador. So 15 of this recipe, and each one has a block of diamond, which is 9 diamonds. So just the diamonds for this stage of the recipe, 135 diamonds. Then you look at what's in the Eye of Galgador. It's an Eye of Ender. Those aren't expensive, but the gassed tears. You need 15 batches of this recipe, right? Which needs, for each batch, 3 Eyes of Galgador, so 6 gassed tears per batch, times 15 is 90 gassed tears, 1.5 stacks of gassed tears. So if you really, really want to make this, you'll be busy for a while gathering materials. That's all I'm going to say. But apparently this thing digs a 9x9 area. I don't know if that's like 9x9 centered on the drill, or if it's, you know, 4 blocks to either side of the drill and 9 blocks high, or what. I don't know. All I know is it's really freaking expensive. But that's a tool. That's one of the, you know, the drills are tools. And then you also have the farmer, which will plant seeds, harvest plants, and hoe the ground, which you can combine with the hydrators to hydrate the water after it's been hoed, and just, you know, have a rail circuit with this guy driving around, planting stuff and harvesting as it goes. There's a woodcutter tool. There's not a ton of tools, but basically you can do a number of different things with it. There's my advanced shooter. This is what I had on the arrow cart. This is an attachment. It's not a tool. So that would be going into one of the attachment slots. So, I mean, the list of things is pretty crazy. Now, this is one area where I definitely would encourage you to find and make use of the wiki, because this will tell you what's available and what you need to make it, but it won't necessarily give you all of the details in terms of what it does. And there's just too much for me to include it in a video and actually have you able to find and retain the information. So, wiki, definitely. Torch, placer, chests, storage, all that other stuff. So, we'll just focus on what I'm doing with this build, because it should be a pretty useful cart when it's done. I'm not just dorking around and sticking things on to see if they'll fit. I actually have a purpose for this guy. So one of the things that we're going to do, we'll put on our hardened drill. And you see now it's jumped up to almost 20 minutes real time to build this with just the reinforced hull, a coal engine, and the hardened drill. So, I mean, the more useful the item that you're adding to it, the more costly it increases in terms of time. And then we can look at, what else? Well, what we want this guy to be able to do is dig a mine shaft as he goes, which means he needs to be able to lay train tracks in front of him, right? So we want this large railer, which goes in the attachment slot. So far, so good. We're still ready to assemble cart. Almost 22 minutes to build. And what if it comes across a crevasse or a pool of lava or water or something like that? Does it just stop and sit there for eternity, or does it build a bridge and get over it? Well, let's get it to build a bridge. So far, so good. Torch placer, we'll come back to that. liquid sensors. This is, I saw the screenshot of it on the wiki. Basically, it's something that will divert the cart around stuff that would obscure the track. I think, like, if lava would flow over the track, the cart would go around where the lava is. Apparently, it didn't say anything about preventing it from opening up lava where it would come over the cart. It was cheap to make. It's a pretty straightforward safety feature, so we'll just throw it on. We might as well. It's an add-on, so we can put it down there, and you can see now we got the bug eyes that you saw before. We got the drill, the bug eyes. I would like to see if this thing will actually do what I think it's going to do, which is drill down on an angle to a particular height. That would be kind of cool if we could do that. Just set up a minecart and say dig down to, you know, y equals 12 and mine around there for diamonds or whatever else you should happen to find. But y equals 12 is where you're going, so that's another add-on. We'll put that there. And you can see changed a little bit here. That's, you know, some sort of indicator for height, a height gauge. We want it to be able to store things. I don't know if it will automatically scoop up things from the drill into onboard storage, but we're going to find out. We can put that here. Now this top chest, I believe, stores 18. Don't quote me on that. It's not huge, but it's something. Now we've got these little internal storage guys that don't actually really seem to take up a ton of space. So we'll put those guys in, and I think these are like 9 per. I think, again, double check the wiki before you commit to that. And then we've got, well, let's try the torch placer. It's an attachment. So far, so good. We're up to almost 50 minutes of real time to assemble this guy. And the torch placer is just, as it goes along, it should be plunking down torches to either side of the rails, which is, you know, handy so that you as a player can go down without having to worry about creepers spawned everywhere you turn because it's pitch black. Now the last, we'll do this. This is the colorizer. This should let us change the color of our carts once it's placed and we add to the UI. So far so good. And this is the cleaning machine. This is what I had on the arrow cart that would pick up any mob drops that were on the track as it went along. I don't think this is going to work though. Oh, it is going to work. Okay, so that's basically the cart. So what it'll do, reinforced hull with a coal engine, we'll dig with the hardened drill, can lay tracks in front of itself, build bridges if it's got some sort of gap or liquid or something in front of it that it can't get by, place torches, and scoop up things on the track in front of it. It can hold whatever this doesn't allow. Like I say, I think it's 18 plus whatever the 3 internal storage will add, so probably around the equivalent of 1.5 wooden chests. It's got the liquid sensors to hopefully divert around any liquid disasters, the height controller, and the colorizer so we can make it look pretty. Now that's basically what we're going to end up using, but these were modules that I made that I tried on it just to see if it would work, to see what would conflict and what wouldn't. So the internal storage, I mean, there's no more storage spaces. I've already shown you the coal engine won't fit. I think that's it. So now let's pretend, for example, we wanted this thing if it was, I mean, it's intended to be mining down deep, so solar isn't going to be very useful or practical on this design, but let's say we wanted this guy to be going around during the day logging. We'd set up some sort of track system that made sense for a logging cart, and during the day we wanted it to be grabbing solar power. We could go like this. It says solar engine and cleaning machine will clash at the following side center, and it grays out the assemble. Now, as far as I can tell, this isn't telling you that there's a problem you can fix. It's telling you you have to decide which one of these modules you want because they're conflicting and you can't have them both. So, sorry, solar engine, you're going to be underground anyways. It's useless. Extracting chests. These are, basically, they go over the whole thing, I'm pretty sure. And you put it on. And this module will add 72 slots of storage, but it takes up pretty much the whole cart. You can see torch placer and extracting chests will clash at the following side right. So let's say, okay, we're like, okay, take out the torch placer, the cleaning machine. So we would basically have to strip it right down in order for this guy to be able to fit. So no cleaning machine, no torch placer. Because this is just a test, I'm just going to put these in like that. If it turns out that this thing does pick up its own stuff and it needs storage, then I would consider using extracting chests or building a second cart to follow it along with extracting chests and, you know, something else to pick up, whatever. So, not that big of a deal. What else do we have? Side chests, again, will conflict with the torch placer. On this, it says side right, but it basically, if there wasn't the side right, it would be the side left, because they're on either side, as you can see. And when we take this out, you can see the torch placer is on either side as well. So, I mean, it's not telling you if you can free up the right side. It's just saying you can't have both. So solar engine chests. I mean, that's the kind of thing. I just wanted to illustrate how good of a job it does at explaining to you if something isn't going to work, why isn't it going to work? And then you can make an informed decision as to what you need to do, whether you need to decide between two modules or what. So here's our little bug-eyed cart. I'm not going to make you sit and wait for 54 minutes and 22 seconds while it builds, but let's just first of all see, before we do any crazy edits, will we be able to fuel it with coal coke? No. So as far as I know, actually let's try glowstone dust. No. So I'm guessing it's not interested in anything other than coal. Assemble. Yeah, so it's still no dice. When you put it in, it fills up this bar, and then because of the GUI thing, I have to have it all the way to the left so you can see it slowly uses up the fuel. But you can mouse over this and see how much time you have left on the build, on the assembly, and then when it's done, it'll appear in this box down in the bottom right-hand corner. You can take it out and go mess with it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to let it assemble, and then I'll come back and we'll just quickly run outside and set it up and see if it starts digging down. All right, so our cart is done. And I don't want to rush this, but we're kind of running a little bit long again. What I did was I went into the basement and I went to one of the farthest walls that I'd excavated so that we can make sure that the cart isn't going to start going over where I've already made a giant gaping hole. So you can see down there the waypoint far enough for cart. So we're going to start the cart moving that way. And to do that, we're gonna just give it a few tracks to start with, just because. And then this is the cart, and the interesting thing about it is when you mouse over it, it gives you the complete list of everything that's in it. So the icon is always the same, regardless of what you put in it. And if you've got multiple carts, you can at least tell them apart by mousing over. So this is the guy, and just like any other cart, if you shift right click, it gets put there, and then you can right click on it and it brings up a GUI that's customized based on what you've put into the cart, which I think is really, really cool, because obviously you've got here, this is the engine slot where you put your fuel, this is where you put your rails for the railer. It holds up to 6 different stacks of rails because we use the large railer. This is the bridge inventory. The materials that it uses to make the bridge is what you put here. It's not going to make like a really pretty bridge. It's just like stone and stuff. We'll give it some torches, see how it does there. And then this is the internal inventory. We've got 9 for each of the internal chests, plus the top chest is 18. So all we have left is we're going to make it like a fire engine red, or fire engine red card. And then the height control here is where you can, looks like you have to click on it. You can specify the height where you want your cart to work. And this is supposedly an indicator of what materials that you can find at those levels based on the color. I don't really care. Let's send it down to y equals 12, theoretically. And now, in order to get it going, we should just need to put, no, it's putting wood, oh, it's digging.